Let's try this one more time. One more time. I will seriously try not to destroy my studio setup here. It's not a good look. It's not a good look when I break things. It's just not. I don't like it. You don't like it. It's just not good for anybody. So we'll try to keep a lid on it. Try to keep a lid on it. Right. See, is CouchBot gonna fire? Did we get that sorted? Did we get it figured out? Doesn't look like we gotten it figured out yet. I don't see it loading here on the home screen yet for the channel. Typically when we're live, it shows up right here proper on the YouTube channel. Hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened over here in CouchBot yet. Big time problems all the way around. And it says we're live now. Now it says we're live. Now we're streaming. Now can we get CouchBot to fire away? That's the question. While that's trying to figure itself out, I'm going to grab... Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look at that. CouchBot has now fired. Oh gosh. All right. Wow. Thanks, YouTube. That was fantastic. Shakes fist. Wasn't CouchBot's fault. It's YouTube's fault. I digress. Good morning, everybody. Chris Courtney, new Pragmatic. It's feedback loop round 2. Call it round 2 because we've already recorded this. Although it didn't record. It didn't record because YouTube crapped itself. I don't know how else to put it. YouTube's been having a morning. Happens. It happens. That's okay. Happy to be back here with you. It's Monday. It's Monday. Heavily metted up. If you've been following along, Friday I had to take a day just because I couldn't actually move my mouth. You know, sometimes sometimes the world just goes sideways on you, and for me that was Friday. Big issues with take care of your teeth, kids. Just take care of your teeth. I was lifting weights about 15 years ago, and I cracked a tooth, and it decided it was mad last Friday. So we're all better now. All better for the moment at least. Looks like we got somebody chiming in daily stand-up. Oh my God, James has made it back to Seattle. I'm guessing that would be around 8 weeks stuck in San Jose, waiting to get back to Seattle. Congratulations, James. So happy to see that you made it back. This morning there were 2 things that we were mainly covering. One was and I'm just going to shoot a note over here. Yes, we are live. All right. So there were 2 things we were covering this morning. One was related to a question that came through the general channel. The other was Eve's. Eve submitted parts 1 and 2 of her designing components exercise. And I wanted to jump into that because that one was really interesting because it's our first time actually getting into the interface components portion of the program. So I'm going to quickly jump back that direction. As you can see, we're live now. Thank goodness, YouTube. And hey, there I am. I'm still live. I'm on the screen. But I'm going to switch over. Yeah, there we go. I need to first figure out what I have done with... Yeah, there's Eve's components. So Eve was working on... She's worked on parts 1 and 2. Part 3 is still to come, but she was wanting to get feedback on parts 1 and 2. Part 1 looks really good in that the whole purpose of part 1 is to go through and create styles based off these screenshots that she was provided with. This is a situation that's quite common. You're working with a new client. maybe the old file's been lost, maybe maybe it's in a different format. In this case, you're working in Figma, and maybe that file just didn't port over. But you need to create some styles so that you can then create the components and move forward with the design of your project. And here, she's been given a few different screens of the existing design, and basically said, hey, I need you to create styles out of these so that we can then go through it and begin building our component library. And as you can see, she picked up on the basics, and she did a very good job naming these. If I click off, you can see she's got looks like 8 different colors that are active in use. That doesn't mean that there aren't others lurking in the project, but these are the ones that she could actually create around. And then she's also got a number of styles here. She's got headline 1, 2, H1, H2, H3s, body left align, body center, and then 2 links. And I'm guessing that these links are probably like if there's some sort of hover. Although that's really interesting. They use the primary color on one set of links and then the secondary color on another. That's really interesting. But it looks like when this one's selected, the primary color is being used on the headline itself. So that's also interesting. So as far as creating styles go, Eve, I feel really good about where you're at. When you get to components, though, it's really interesting because you created your components, and I totally know what happened here. So when I go into assets and I begin clicking on these components they currently exist on the exercise page. And what we really want is we want these components to exist on the components page. But these, if you click on it, you can see that it's an instance. So what I'm guessing that you did was you went through and you said, oh, I've created my components, and that's great. And then I'm going to grab all these, copy, and then you pasted them over here. But what that means is if I, for whatever reason, deleted these away, do these? No, those are still just instances. So my assets here, there's no assets currently in the file because the actual components are gone. So what I would suggest doing, if I wanted to get all this back, is I would come back, and it's interesting. Oh yeah, that's weird that it didn't copy that with it. But if I wanted to get this back, what I'd probably do is I would change this to components, and then I would change this one to exercise 2, because this is the copy of everything, and then just flip the order. That way these existed on the components page, and you wouldn't get this sort of situation popping up. Now there was one thing that I noted earlier when we worked through this in the version that didn't record. Not that I'm mad, YouTube, but damn it, I'm mad. So you have this really intricate design for the placeholder for your image. That's great. I love it. It's fantastic. It's lovely. But it's all line work. And the trouble that you get into with this is when you come down later. So let's take this forward into part 3. So in part 3, let's say for whatever reason I'm going to create one of these I'm going to create one of these 2-column designs. Okay? And I come in and I say, "Oh, okay. What I want to do now is I've got an image in mind. All right? I've got an image in mind that I want to pull in for this design. So this design, I'm imagining forward into the future. Okay, I'm going from wireframe to more of the high fidelity prototype. And now I know that I have an image that I want to place in here. Well, when we get into this design, if we look at it in layers, you can see that there's a lot of things in here that make it very difficult to do much with it. Like you've got your link and you got your headline; those are all fine. But it's when I get into this actual area to the top, I can't really do anything with this because this is really just a bunch of lines. There is or did I save this already? I think I did. Okay, I'm gonna go to the second one because I think I accidentally like recreate. Yeah, I recreated this one already. I'll show you what I did in just a second. I'm gonna go to your second part. This also be a good moment in time for me to go back and walk you through how to roll the version history back. But here, if I wanted to replace this image, you have this placeholder. I have image, but I also have all these lines. And there's no way to just come in and say, hey, I'm going to place an image in here. And we can grab just any old image. We'll use this face guard here. All right. I've got this face guard. There's no way for me to come in and place that into this space because this is an image shape, but it's really just a bunch of lines. So unless I'm going to delete all the lines and then, I've got to get down to basically just this square, and there's no way to get to it. Where over here, because I've created this and it's just really a default placeholder, I could actually come through and say, okay, here I want to replace the image, and we'll take the same thing. We'll come in, we'll grab the face mask, and we'll say replace, and there it replaced in. And the reason it's done that, and the reason it can't do it over here, is because instead of following your design that you have here with the items, I went through and exported this as an image. So let's just say that I exported it, and then I pulled it back in. So I came through and I said, okay, I want to place an image, and I called it image PNG, and I called it image PNG, if I could. And this is the same image that you have, okay? But it's an image, all right? It's not this construction. And because it's an image and not that construction, as you can see here, this is just, I'm placing the image into the background. Because it's just the image and not the constructed piece, that makes it to where when I want to replace it, I can just drop it straight in, where here I have to do a lot of deleting and moving around. So just know that if you're going to update this moving forward, because on all the other aspects of this you can. So if I want to come through and like give it a headline, I could do that. If I want to come through and update the link, I could do that. I can do all those updatings, but I can't update the image, not the way it's constructed currently. Now, I went through and I made a lot of adjustments to this file. This is where I want to actually go through and I want to go and roll this back. I have to remember where this is. File, version history. And at 9:50 this morning I had made some adjustments. I'm going to roll it back to Eve's last update. So roll back to Eve's last update. Save. And here in Eve's last update, restore to this version. I've now blown away all the updates that I've made. So this gets back to where you were. This is how GitHub works. If you've ever tried to, if you've ever like made some work and then you've adjusted something and it deleted everything in the past, you know that this is exactly the same way. That's fine. Trying to restore to this version. And now we're back. So this is back where Eve had it initially. Part 1, Part 2. Although that's interesting that it's struggling to see those. But it does have her. Yeah, I'm just going to grab these and bring them down. I'm not sure what happened there. So Eve, this is restored back to where you had it now. So what I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see these components updated as far as the image goes, so that I can quickly switch the images out as you move more into the high fidelity. But that's really the only adjustment I see that's necessary here. Everything else, you know, what I particularly like is the fact that you used auto layout on these. And by that, I mean, you know, you can type in and the arrow moves over. Auto layout is how that happens. Using auto layout was a smart move. I'm not sure if you used auto layout on these. And it looks like I do not have Mooly installed. That's really weird. I would think that I have Mooly installed. Let's see here. Yeah, Mooly's installed. That's really weird, Figma. Medium. It's really interesting. Why would it have a medium? Anyway, neither here nor there. We're gonna let it go. The other thing I was going to point out was when I create projects, I do the exact same thing. So here's the components page for a project I'm working on right now. I create the components inside of Figma, and then I build the design. And I want to take it one step further. I actually do the same thing when I carry this into code. So this is this is like that newsletter wide section. You can see it says follow the data, subscribe to our free newsletter, and we're in the code for this. Okay, this is a component inside of Gatsby. All right. So if we fast forward, that is the same thing. So this is the newsletter. All right. If I take you over to, let's go look at some code real quick. If I take you over to localhost 8000, can't remember if I've got it. No, I have not fired it up yet, so I'm going to do that really fast. So I'll say Gatsby develop. Oh, it's not develop, Chris. Yeah, it's not going to know what that is, but it will know what this is. So here's Gatsby develop. It's going to fire up that server. Looks like I got a minor update that I could install. I'm not going to install it right now, though. So if we look at this in terms of actual code, this again is because if you ever wonder, like, how does this component idea work forward? Would be nice if it would load, though. Here we go. So here's the project that I'm working on. And I've changed out the logo here because the logo itself changed. But here's that design, and as you'll see if we inspect it, yes, it becomes responsive. But this is called Promo Newsletter, and it's right there. That's the image, and that's just how it comes together. So in my code, I do follow these ideas. These are chunks, and you can kind of see the design has changed a little bit. Like I should go full width with the newsletter, and I haven't done that quite yet. But you get the sense that the same design is being followed. Like here's the responsive version, here's the wide version, and that's basically just how it works. As you begin migrating through, and you can kind of see how I created a placeholder here, and if you go into and look at the placeholder actually in the design, and if you look at how these are created, this entire page is in index, and this is all the code for that page. Like that's all of it right there. But this is because it's been broken up, and you can see that this one's calling in secondary promo 3 times, and if you go over to secondary promo, which is called promo story, and headline for associate stories 2 lines, headline for associate stories 2 lines, and then we'll go, and this is the actual code, headline for associated stories 2 lines, and you can see it's copied 3 times over. So that's how a component works. A component is something that's meant to be used over and over and over again. And as you can see here in my design, I've written it once. And if we go into the index here, we're using it 3 times. Okay? All right. Now this is obviously looking ahead. You're just in the Figma form of your designs. But I just want to kind of show you, okay, here's how that idea pushes forward. Okay? Another question came through this morning and this was in the general channel. So I wanted to just kind of address it really quickly before we wrapped up in this truncated version of the feedback loop, even though it is running later in the day because YouTube. There's a question that came through about, as designers, how do we deal with clients that are stuck on an idea? And I know several of you, this is really for Rebecca and Tejal and Lisa, and even Luigi, you're in that job hunt, you're also in that freelance zone, you're working on projects, and you're going to run into people that get stuck on a concept. They latch on, and this could be anything, like a way to display data, or a color, or a grid structure, or a particular user that they want, part of the market they want to address. You can lay out all the facts that you want, okay? Lay out all the facts in the way that you want to, and you could still miss them. They could still stay just latched on it. The first thing I want to encourage you to do is listen to what they're saying. Try to figure out what their main motivation is for staying latched onto that idea. Okay? If you can't follow the motivation, if you can't find the motivation behind why they're stuck on it, it's going to be, you're just kind of grabbing at straws for how to move them off of it. But if you can figure out what the motivation is, you can begin to alter your language to directly address them. A lot of this comes down to speaking their language. Okay? If they feel like you're talking design, and they're talking business, and the two of you are not meeting, you're going to need to dip into their vernacular. Okay? Begin addressing the issue from the perspective that they're concerned with. It's not needing a better user experience. It's delivering a higher customer return on investment of time. Okay? Little tweaks in your vocabulary can unlock the door to different opportunities. But you have to be willing to go where they are. You've got to meet them where they are. You can't just sit back and go, "Oh, well, I'm going to teach you about design." No, no, no. No. They may not be willing to go there with you, but you have to be willing to build a bridge the other direction. Okay? Talk to them. Hey, and this is all about extrapolating up a level, okay? There's a lot of ideas that you may know, like Eve. I'm talking to you now. You came from an interior design background or architecture background. There are things that apply to visual design that you know how to talk in terms of building design or space design. Being able to shift over to, and Lisa, this goes for you too. Yeah, you're coming from a graphic design background. Being able to shift concepts from one area of design to another is very helpful. Imagine taking that into more of a business construct. Okay? You shift it from graphic to UX. What if you shift it from UX to biz dev? Okay? And a lot of times this is just, if Tejal and Lisa, you're both working on health projects right now, and Rebecca, you've been in that health area as well. If you are able to shift and discuss things in terms of health rather than, we need to surface the data our users need to find so that they can more quickly find a testing location. That doesn't speak to, we're not reducing options on the page to lighten the cognitive load, which would be the UX principle or UI principled way of doing it, but you are now addressing why, not the principle behind why you're lightening the load, but the principle behind why we're meeting the need of the user. It's not to lighten cognitive load, it's to get them to the testing site faster. Okay? Shift your focus to meet the needs of the user, and shift the way you speak to key in on the motivating factors behind the team member that you're trying to convince. Okay? That's how you win them over. Speaking design at them isn't going to do it. Okay? So, when you're working with a colleague and they're a designer too, fine. Spit all the design you want. But the moment you're shifting, you're working with like the marketing manager or somebody on the engineering team or just a stakeholder, like shift gears, listen to how they talk and respond to them in kind. Don't talk past them with some design ease, okay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today's feedback loop. It's a little later in the afternoon or morning, but at least we got YouTube sorted out. I will be back again, hopefully with you again tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow won't be a double recording. But until then, take care, and I will chat with all of you again soon. See ya.